Alright, yeah, welcome back again. So we are continuing from where we stopped last time. Last time we looked at EDA visualizations of our data, which is necessary before we go into machine learning proper. So we're going to continue to look at a more advanced visualizations techniques in this concept. So we're going to load our data set as usual. So I added this general libraries that we may need. So this is a general one. So other one that will be needed will be added on each code as we journey gradually. So we're going to run this line of code now to see our data first 5 columns. So we're going to look at each of this one. The first one is called multivariate analysis with parallel coordinates. So the purpose is to visualize high dimensional relationship in 2 dimension, in 2D. All right, so most time we have some data that are in 9-dimensional, but we want to look at them in 2D forms. So this one, so you can just write, this is what we need to import actually. We're going to put the pandas.plotting, import parallel coordinates. So this one will help us to plot this particular graph. So I think, let me make it a little bit more smaller. It's too big. All right. Okay. All right. So if you run this line of code now, you can have this. Okay. Look at what we have. All right. So here now, you can see this is for parallel coordinate plot. All right. It's not a common plot actually, but that's why they are a little bit advanced, but they have their own place because it shows how all the 4 features interact simultaneously. Okay, the separ length, separ width, beta length, beta width. Okay, it clear separation between Sentosas, which is red, and other species. You can see that's a clear separation. You can see Sentosas give us a clear separation. You can see that it's not like the rest 2 blue and green that are mixed together. Is distinct. Okay, so and there's you can see that the first color, which is green, and Virginica blue, overlaps in some directions. You can see it overlaps here, it overlaps here, overlaps here. So you can see that, but it is this one red is distinct among them. So it's a good insight for us. And also data set want to use is that when data set has 4 to 10 numerical features. So you're not dealing with maybe like a 30 features, 40 features. No, maximum is 10 features. So you can be able to see clearly what you are dealing with. And also want to identify which features best separate classes. You can know that, oh, these features will be good for class separation, which we can now drop the rest. So it's a very good for us to look at this first before we go to machine learning, because you understand that, okay, if I can see if the game means this particular feature will be good for me to separate classes, then I can choose it, then drop the rest and have my high accuracy. It's as simple as that. All right, we also have what they call Andrews curve. Andrews curve detects clusters using Fourier's transformed features. Now, if you run this line of code now, just need to import this, or so this usual one, there's Andrews curve. This is what you change, what changes. Okay, Andrews curve. Here you can see here what we parallel coordinate. So far we are going to follow the same patterns. So if you run this line of code now, this one is also big. Let me make it smaller. For me, it's too big. So so that I can see it properly. All right. So if you run this code now, we have Andrews curve here. You can see this called Andrews curve. You can see. So the insight here is that each observation becomes a curve based on feature values. Okay. Now, similar curves indicate similar observations. Okay. Yes, you can see similar curves indicate similar observations. And Setosa show distinct harmonic patterns. Can you see? Setosa here, can you see? Show distinct harmonic patterns. Can you see? It's not overlaps with Feriscola and Virginica. You can see Feriscola and Virginica. So it's not overlaps. So it's show distance. Can you see? Come out here and here. But meanwhile, Feriscola and Virginica, they overlaps throughout. So you can see that. And we want to use this one is when we need alternative to PCA for cluster visualization, or when looking for subtle grouping patterns, because most of the grouping patterns are they are most time inherent, they are implicit, they are not explicit. So there are some subtle inherent patterns inside that are not revealed. when we want to review, we want to show them, that's when we use something like this. Okay. So we also have what is called RADVIS. RADVIS means radial visualization. It used to view multidimensional data in circular layout. For example, we just include this one to with our data set called RADVIS. So this is just what changes, as I said before, it's a text pattern. So let me make it a 6 by 6 to make it a more smaller for us to see. So we call this RADVIS and we call our data set we call the categorical variable there, then we plot it. So it's very simple. So if we run this line of code now, we have our data set here, you can see. So this is our RADVIS plot. You can see here. As you can see each of the variable coming out in different form. So the insight here is that the features act as spring pulling points. It acts as spring pulling points. So it clears separation of setosa in lower right quadrants. So you can see the separation color setosa here. Okay. So and there also some overlaps between Rescola and Genica. So you can see some overlaps here. You can see them overlaps. So two of them overlaps. You can see. So it's used for quick cluster identification. Also identify cluster quickly is very easy. And when parallel coordinates look too crowded, you can use this kind of plot to separate them very easily to make them to view it. All right. So that is called RADVIS plot. We also have what they call two-kernel density estimation. The purpose of this one is to visualize feature space density. So we can see that here we just use our Seaborn to call our data set, better length, better width. Okay, compare the two of them, use our what's it called species to differentiate the color. All right, so here we run this code. So don't mind the one here, it seems to be too large also. But let me just leave it like that. Okay, you can see here. You can see here the color here, setosa. You can see. So it shows probability density contour, all right, contours, and Phryginica has distinct high density region, all right. Setosa is completely separated in beta space. So you can see that the Phryginica here has high density. Okay, density is very high, all right, very high. It goes above 2.0 up, and but even though Sentosa has a lower density, but it shows a complete separated value for beta space. You can see, so you can see that just insight we can get from here, and use it to when we want to understand class overlaps, all right, and when we want to identify dense region in feature space, each region that are more dense than the others. So we also have what they call interactive 3D plots. This one is used to explore spatial relationships. All right, this 3D plot is different from the previous one we did, which is a static one. This is not static. This one is kind of interactive one. Okay, because you can interact with it easily. So and it's very short. The code is very short. Just call your plotly right here, and as a px, then we assign the figure to ps.3 scatter for 3D, call our data set erase, then we plot, we bring out which features we want or which columns we want. So we assign it to S, Y, Z, then color by species, which is our categorical variable, size, we want to use separate what width, so we now give a title. If you run this line of code now, it takes some time actually to load, but you will see the output soon of code, like so, and to show in browser. So this one, because you can change this one, I want you to load in iframe, so you can or use a Plotly MIME type or browser. So but I use notebook. You can change this one to iframe, you can change to Plotly MIME type, you can hit to browser. All right, so that if you change the browser to load separately in a different window for you automatically, or in this case sometimes it load in iframe for you, or let us allow it to load in notebook for us here. Because of the slowness, so it's a little bit slow in loading, so that's why I have to add this line of code, these two lines of code to it. All right, so now you can see it's loaded now. You can see, so it is very interactive now because you can see all what is happening around there. You can see each data. To touching each data, you can see what is saying. Right, you can zoom it, you can make it, you can rotate it. Okay, you can see I'm rotated. Right, you can be zoom in and out. You can zoom in, can zoom out, can zoom in. Okay, so this is very interactive data set. You can see I have other related this thing here, which can download plot as a PNG if you want to download. Okay, you can see other produce the with Matplotlib here. You can see reset camera to last save. So there's so many other functions that come along with it here. So you can really see it's very interactive here. You can make it a web-based, browser-based if you want, so that you can just load directly in the web. All right, so this is what they call interactive 3D plot. All right, so let's move on quickly. The inside here is that it rotates view, the views separation, rotatable view, the view separation angles, and the Sentosa forms distinct cluster in 3D space. Size encoding shows separ width variation. So we want to use this one is presentation or interactive exploration. Want to present, you want to use interactive exploration, it's very good. And when 2D plots show ambiguous overlaps, you can introduce a 3D to give us details of what we are looking for. All right, so this is a 3D interactive plot, which is very easy to plot with a few codes. So we also have what they call quantile plots, which is called QQ plots, to check feature normality. Most times, especially when you're doing statistical analysis, you want to quickly check your feature normality to see if your data is normalized or fall within the range of this thing. So you can just quickly apply this. So this one is using Pandas only to check this particular column. So if you run this line of code now, you can see our Pandas here. So you can do for each one of them to see the difference. You can see according to this particular line, you can see that this one break out from here, but at least a little part of it is still get straight to this point before we need to see some outlier again coming out from here. So deviation from red line shows non-normality. Okay, it's not normal. It's not normal. So here that you can see deviation from red line. So petal length has bimodal distribution. Can you see? Cut into two, one part, second part here, and also importance for linear model assumption. So these are the key sites we saw here, and they want to use it before applying parametric tests. It's very, very important. It's one of the major key checks we employ when you are dealing with parametric tests, okay, in data analysis. All right, so also when checking model assumptions is very important. So it's one of the key model assumptions that we look at using the QQ plots. All right, so we also have what we call heat map with clustering to find natural groupings. All right, you can see just one line of code is enough to do that. Line. So when you run this line of code now, you can see your heat map. Well, this one is commonly used when you're dealing with genetic data or sequence data. All right, or especially you can see them here. I think DNA related features. You can see them. So it's very important. Though it's commonly used in many other areas, but it's common to that. Then also we also have it's called dendrograms, show observation similarity and the features cluster by measurement type and identify potential feature redundancy. You can see them here. You can see the Sentosa, the petal width here have a very high this thing here. So this one is 2, this one is 4, this one is 6. You can see sepal length slightly. So you can see here. So this is very powerful feature actually when you're dealing with other concepts. So also have feature importance analysis. Okay, purpose to rank predict power. All right, this is different from the one we did last time where you just use a F value, but here we're not using F value now. We're not using ANOVA here, so we just use only the our what they call it now, random forest techniques here to analyze the feature. So this one is very powerful. So if you run this line of code, you see that you can get feature importance, which is better with having highest importance highest rank here, followed by petal length. Right, so petal dimension most important. You can see both petal here, separ width contribute least, and this guide feature selection for us. We want to select variable. It's very easy to use this kind of method. Okay, when you apply this method, you can see your feature at a glance. Which one of them is need to be dropped, which one need to be continued with. So it's very important. So you can easily know that these two features they will have a high what do you call it now? High accuracy analysis, high accuracy reports or result as we run to feed into the model. So before model building, that it can be used when reducing dimensionality can be also be used. So we have what we call time series style plot. The purpose to detect measurement patterns, but though it's not necessarily needed for this particular kind of a data set, but just to show you example of how the data is, how to run the code. So you can just plug in your data set and arrange it for data set that goes along with this particular concept or this particular plotting. So you can use here, just plug in your data set for each species, for your species here, or your category variable here, just plug it in here, then plot it. For the variable you want to plot, you can plot it here. So we are looking at petal length here only. So you can do for other ones. So if you run this line of code now, you can see that this is your petal length of observation. This is called time series, even though it's not applicable to this category, this kind of plot or data set, but you can use your data set and apply it. The code is very simple. So just plug in your code, this thing here, and get the result. So possible measurement ordering effects, no apparent time-based patterns, confirmed random sampling assumptions. So when to use is to when data has collection sequence, checking for sample biases. Okay. So we also have what we call composite visualization, which means that you are trying to combine many plots together in one graphical interface. This is very good when you are doing maybe you want to present statistical analysis in your manuscript or your thesis, and you want a many plot in one phase instead of just using image tools to bring them together. You can just plot them together here. So combine them together. You can see how I bring them together. It make it your work to be easier. So if I run this line of code now, you have many plots combined together in one to tell the complete story about your data. So you can see here, down here, it's loading. You can see here. So you can see this comprehensive release data set analysis now. So you can see this one here, see this one here, see this one here, see this one here. So you can this one can just be taken as one and put in your thesis or your manuscript and just explain, right, very easily. So it gives us a complete analysis of our work we are working, what we are doing, so that we're just doing one by one. So you can just a complete story about your data set. So it combines multiple perspectives actually and show distribution, relationships, and correlations. And professional reporting quality. So that is dealing with it. Most of the journal they prefer this form of data because they want a big image, so not just a blurring small images that we use most times, big images. So when they're combined together, you just analyze them, you can just label them A, B, C, D, E, that's all. And then final, you want to use final ADA presentation, or when you are talking about stakeholder reports. So you can see, you can just use to present. So I think for now, we have covered so many things, and I think I will be stopping here today. So the next class, we will be to journey to different dimension of machine learning. I think machine learning proper now. So I think we have done a basic analysis that are needed to kickstart our machine learning tutorial or classes. So by the time we move on now, we have no challenge in relating with other things that we need to relate with. So I will see us in the next class. Thanks so much for listening. You can comment, you can like, you can share if you want. If you have not subscribed yet, you can do so. I will see us in the next class. Bye for now.